Hi, good evening. Today we'll be talking about problems you may encounter during or on the class.
Yes.
So, of course, as an online teacher, we always encounter this interaction. The most common is internet connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, of course, when we have an internet connection what do you think what we will do first? If we have some slow internet or the internet just has no connection at all. So what do you think, what should a teacher do?
Restart the computer.
Yeah, it can be. Well, I think of course since your computer has a slow connection, of course you can ask immediately your supervisor that because example you have an ongoing class, then your internet has gone or just become slow. Of course you have to inform your immediate supervisor that your internet has becoming slow. So the supervisor will let's just say contact the student or something, so you can do some remedy to avoid the delays. Okay? And also when our computer got shut down, because it happens that sometimes it just automatically shut down, always have a backup.
Yes.
Or we cannot say, so we should always save, auto save, or have some backups.
Yes.
And also some what do you call this, backups, and always save, and make sure you have the what do you call this, the one when we're brand out, there's an what do you call this, the APS, the APS, so it will delay your computer to be shut down for at least 30 minutes, 15 minutes. So you should always have a backup. Of course, in a regular classroom setup, we're dealing with different kinds of behavior inside the classroom, one of which is attitude of the students. Because not all students you can please, right? Some are listening, some are not, some are eating, some are drinking, or someone just doing their own thing. So you have to deal with that problem because it happens, right? Of course, here, the example here, the teacher is discussing the lesson while the students just wandering around or looking just outside the window. So you have to catch his attention or tap his back, then said, oh, listen, or just catch his attention so he will listen again, right?
Yes.
And also this one, see, they cover their pencil box because they're just playing cell phones. It happens sometimes. Sometimes they're playing their cell phones behind the desk or the table, or different kinds of, there are different kinds of ways on how the students will play with their cell phones. Or sometimes the worst is the students will just sleep on your class. So that are the behavior that we need to deal in a regular classroom setup. So what do you think, what should the teacher do if the students caught by that?
To change some class activity to make it able to direct their attention.
Yeah, it can be, but I think, and as my experience, the effective way to deal with those problem, they have some punishment. Well, of course, at the start of the day or at the start of the class, the teacher should imply some rules that if he caught some cell phone, he will confiscate it, just like that. Or if he caught some students sleeping, he will stand the whole class, right? So to prevent the repetition of the happening again, right?
Yes.
And of course, as an online teacher,
Yes.
there's some distraction when we teach during the class.
Yes.
Because we cannot they can see our screen, but we cannot see their screen. Am I right?
Yes.
We can share the screen to our student, but the student cannot share their screen to us. So how can we be sure that while the class is ongoing, their full attention is on us? Because sometimes the students is listening to you, yes, yes, yes. Then you don't know, there's a split screen here that they're just watching or maybe doing something. Am I right? It
Yes.
can happen. And also, of course, while during the class, during the class, it can be occurred that they're eating while listening to you. Of course, although we cannot avoid that, but of course their attention is half to us, then half to the food or on what they're doing. So let's make it straight from the start that if do your own thing before the class or after the class. For example, eat your things before the class and do whatever you want. So when our class start, we can do it straight, right? So your full attention is on the teacher and on the lesson.
You can move it.
Yeah. Am I right? And of course, well, some students don't appreciate the importance of studying, especially the kids one, because the parents will just say, just enroll, just enroll. The students don't know, why am I always studying? The students always complaining, right?
Yes.
So, well, of course, as me also as a child, why do I always need to go to the Chinese? Well, I experienced that, but now, of course, when I grow up, I realize how important the Chinese is.
They call you?
Yeah. Did you also experience that while you're studying? Of course, in Taiwan, you said a while ago that from 7 a.m. up to 10 p.m.
Yes.
So, do you ask yourself, why do I doing this, right?
Yes.
Then eventually when you grow up, you realize, oh, that's why.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because I think, as a child, they should, as early as they're young, the parents should explain why they need to do that, why they need to do this, why they need blah, 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 so on and so forth. So, they would understand why they are doing that. Yeah, am I correct?
Yes.
Not always baby talk to the children or just telling the child that no, you must do that. So the question to the child is why must. And of course during the what do you call this, during the class, there's always excuses. Did you experience that, Sir Jay?
Yeah.
Excuses. Example, why did you not make your homework? Because why didn't you practice your pronunciation?
Yes.
Because of course there's so many excuses. There's the problem. Of course maybe they're making excuses because their lack of motivation. They, of course, from what I'm saying a while ago, what am I doing this? What's the important? Because they don't know, so they're just making some excuses. Well, and the next problem would be absenteeism. Well, in a regular class, absent cannot be avoided. But if it's a regular basis, of course, we need to inform the parents why your child is always absent. Of course, there's always a reason for it. And of course, as an online teacher, why is it the child is not attending our class anymore? So there's always a reason. So that's the other problem that you may encounter during or on the class, absenteeism. Am I right?
Yeah.
And of course, the other behavior will be lack of discipline. Of course, as I was saying a while ago, lack of discipline because they don't know what the importance of study. They don't know. They just, maybe their parents just always telling them, you must do that. Of course, as a child, the question is, why must I do that? What's the importance? So, of course, as a parent, we need to tell the students that you must attend the class because you will benefit for it for the future, like that. So you have some knowledge and some skills. So yeah, the parents should always have the participation and motivation of the child, not only the teachers. It's always be the teacher and the parents. Of course, students become dependent to the teacher, dependent to the students. Like for example, the students is just okay, I'll just attend the class just for the sake. They just depend on the teacher. They don't willing to learn. So they just depending the teacher. Okay, but not well. Well, let's just say in Filipino term, it just goes in then goes out of the other ear.
Yeah.
It always like that, just depending. And of course, some other behavior will be, or some other problems you may encounter is, especially teaching to a non-speaker English, is the mismatch of the spelling. Like for example, when you spell apple, it is the right way, right? But they spell it might be like this, or bee, the honeybee, or they might spelling his. So it's a mismatch, same pronunciation, but wrong spelling. So that will some encounters you may, these are the some problems you may encounter on a regular school basis and on an online class. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so some questions here. Thank you for your sharing. As we mentioned earlier, the attention of the class might got some, student might lose their
Distractors.
attention. So why? What's the real reason?
Lack of motivation.
Lack of motivation. And what's behind the motivation?
What's behind the lack of motivation?
Yes.
Maybe they don't know the importance of learning some new skills or new talent.
Okay, only importance. What else?
What else? Also, the real depth of the lesson.
The depth of the lesson.
Yeah.
Have you ever had the experience that you were doing something and then you keep doing it and even nobody asks you to do that, you just want to try it and you don't want to stop? Have you ever had experience like that?
Yeah, but it's called passion when you do something.
Example, your example.
Yeah. My example will be, I used to teach every now and then. And of course, without the motivation of someone, even without the motivation of someone, I can still teach. Well, I think it's called passion, and also, passion.
Passion. Okay. So, in my case, I love to read novels because there are a lot of stories I like, and then comic books.
Yeah.
So when I was a student, I read a lot of novels and comic books. And then when I go to school, I talk and share with my friends, and then we are very fond of that. So I keep reading it, and then I keep sharing, and I have a community of friends who share the same interest.
Yeah.
So even we don't have class to teach us like that, but we just keep doing it, and then we very enjoy that. And then we have some books and novels and some comic books. We join some events together, and then we have the book lovers
Lovers
sharing
club.
meetings.
Yeah.
So it goes on and on and on until now. We still have that. So what's the reason you think of it compared to English and math, science in the school?
It is a self-study and also to increase your self-worth and self-esteem, and also to add your knowledge day by day.
Do you think our class can be like that?
Yes, it's possible. because as you said, our mission and
Yes.
also our mission is enjoyable.
Yes.
We make learning enjoyable. So I think when they when they realize that the true meaning of enjoyable, it's not that the student will only benefit but also the teacher, because the student is gaining more and more each day as days goes by, and also the teacher will feel some fulfillment.
Okay. So, do you really think that quote important, really important for student, if especially 6 years old or 8 years old kid?
Well, it depends on how they grow up, because some 6
Mhm.
years old is thinking like the kids, really the kids. But some 6 years old are matured enough to understand
Mm-hmm.
why things happen. So it depends on how they were raised by their parents.
When you were 6 years old, do you like pictures, cartoons, music?
Yeah, I like more the pictures and the musics rather than just the wordings,
Why?
because it's lively and of course it's full of colors as a 6 years old.
Did you think that's important at that time?
Yeah. Again.
Did you think it, because it's important?
Yes.
So I do this to watch the pictures, to read, to watch the things, videos and things you like because it is important, or you just feel fun.
Of course, it is still fun,
Mm-hmm.
and of course it is important to me because I learn, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that video or that picture is related to the lesson that the new lesson that will added to my knowledge.
Okay. Okay. Last question. So you mentioned that sometimes students don't have appreciation and you have to explain a lot why you have to do this, why you have to do that. Okay. In that scenario, what's the reason behind it? What happened and why?
What's this in that scenario?
Yes.
Why is the student just do like this, like that?
When you were in the Chinese class before in the school,
Because, well,
teacher said this is important, you
Yeah.
have to learn, but nobody's care. Why that scenario happened?
because the teacher is just telling me it is important. Well, of course, the important word as a kid, why? We still ask why?
Mhm.
So they didn't answer the question, the answer then. So as I grew up, I found I found out my own answer to that.
I was sure they will tell you you can earn more money in the future, right? So that's important.
No, they
No?
didn't tell me that. They just
Really?
as I speak, they just tell me no, you should.
Okay. So, what's the reason the teacher didn't did that?
I don't know. She don't know how to teach because she's from China.
Okay.
She's fresh from China, and I think
China?
he don't know because
Mm.
maybe there's a culture barrier,
Mhm.
because we're raised in Filipino, so she or the teacher raised in what do you call this, in their culture, so there's a culture barrier, so the teacher is afraid to really reach out to the kids.
Okay, so aside from that, one last comment for the summary. As my understanding, what you are trying to say is to make the learning become part of students' life, right?
Yeah.
To become part of students' life, for them to have motivation to continue it.
Yeah.
So, since it's like that, what would be the teacher's job to solve this problem, to keep that motivation ongoing, and then to help our student to win the game, to become winner?
Well, I think the solution to that scenario will
Yes.
be the teacher should have the heart in reaching out the children's need. Because as I observed, the teachers nowadays, they just teach without the heart. They just they just teach for the sake of for the sake of the lesson, not the art of teaching, wherein they should really really impart that lesson to them.